Den actualidad awe televidente nos tópico ta burico. Burico lang di bonairo kuta asina den discussão pa ayan ang kaba. Discussão di burico nota di awar. Pero ultimamente Marina Meles di Donkey Sanctuary ha lança un informe riba Facebook caminda eta questiona un plan cu un outro fundação tem para bai laga e burico di bonaire den su habitat tem natureza boneriano nanta menciona e área di labra e awe den programa Aktualidat met conversar com Michael Obersi e Catalfumo riba ng fundação. E fundação ni nang yama Bonaire Donkeys Protection League. Nanta pensa opibia completamente outro for di Marina Meles. Marina Meles pa estão com nossa e tem parque caminha tem burico a lo largo de Caia Engenheiro Stasis Faneps. Prometa bata den área de Lima. Pero hoy en día está un tic más en Zuid. Eta tem su parque, tem uma quantidade bastante grande de burico, pero para fora tem muito mais que o que tem dentro do parque. E tem bastante gente está reclamar, riba presença de burico, riba caia, 30 cura, come mata, volta container de sushi, hopi reclamo tem riba burico. Awo Marina Meles avisa que o plano com nanting para pôr burico de área de labra tem etiqueta de preço de quase $500,000. Pensei, ao emitir Michael Obersi e Catalfumo de nosso programa para começar o assunto aqui. Ela está para inglês, Michael papimento, a mim, nós questionamos em ambos idiomas. Your involvement with the donkeys of Bonaire, El.
Yes. Well, we started the foundation some years ago, and there's two groups: the Citizens for Better, Safer, Animal-Friendly Bonaire, who are concerned about the nature and the animals, and Bonaire Donkey Protection League, we started some years ago when they started catching donkeys, made a contract with Marina Meles and Franklin Slover made a contract that they can catch all the donkeys, they can keep the females, castrate the males, and when the contract is over, they needed to continue. And what happened was, in a year between 2013 and 2014, they caught 400 donkeys. 100 donkeys went dead to the landfill. So we formed our.
Can you prove that?
Yeah, it's in their own words. I mean, they printed it themselves. All right. So we started the organization to try and protect the animals. And then we realized all the fallacies and the things that are wrong. So we formed an organization. Our organization now has wildlife, herd management, land management professionals, all right, wildlife professionals that helped us make a plan. And the plan is the only solution for Bonaire. The plan is simple. We relocate the donkeys from town and the roads to safe areas. We keep them monitored and check the population. If the population grows over the point where it's good for the land, then we can inject the females with a formula called PCP. Not castrate the males. That's barbaric. It's not done proper, especially with donkeys. There's formulas and people that talk about the donkeys and how veterinarians say castration of donkeys is not a good idea. But anyway, so we can inject the females, and they don't get pregnant for 3 years. And the beauty of that is we can protect the Nubian ass donkeys that we have on Bonaire. We're not going to eliminate the breed. All right? It's simple. It works, and all we need is permission to put our plan in place. Now, the problem is that in the last 7 years, the opposition that we have is from the donkey sanctuary, and I have no idea why. We ask them to join us. They take care of the sick and the wounded, and we take care of the ones in the wild. It's a great deal for them. They don't work so hard. And we take care of the heritage of Bonaire by protecting our donkeys. It's really, really sad to understand what the problem is. So the advisors that the government are using don't have wildlife experience. The people with wildlife...
You have
We're talking Franklin Slobo, we're talking about Marina Mellis. You know, they don't have credentials in wildlife. Now,
You have that?
the people in Bonaire that have those credentials and proven is George Couture, all right, Butchie France, and I, for 40 years, have been working with donkeys in the wild. I've been taking care of them, I've been treating them, I've been putting them back out. So we should be the advisors. The government should come to us and say, hey, how's the best way to handle this? And we have the solution, like I say, and it's not just our solution, it's wildlife professionals, herd management people, land management people that help us put this plan together. And the plan is simple. We remove the donkeys from town, like I mentioned, and roads to safe areas, all right? We keep them monitored, and we keep the population controlled, all right? It's good for tourism, it's good for heritage, and the people I talk to on Bonaire and tell them that there was a nature plan that was made that by 2030, all the donkeys should be removed, all right? We asked to be part of that program, and we got locked out. So they made the plan to remove them. When I mentioned that to anybody, any local person on this island, that's impossible, they can't do that. These donkeys belong to Bonaire. So we're speaking for the people, not just myself, all right? We're speaking for the people, and people that know the animals know this is a very viable program.
Michael, okay, alla spiegata il plan pa poner nang area di Labra, bonito plan, pero se pone nang non affecta naturaleza, anto você tem experiência de coisa que a mim também tem experiência, me também mira com certa cabrito ou burico também, com nanta palo novo, não tá bem, palo novo tá bem, palo obada, porque como mira palo de calbas cresce, e mata tanase, alme está junto com o bia, mas vai depois e mata teimas.
Ok.
Tu problema?
Sim. Lagami começar a corrigir a cifra de quantidade de burico que tem de Welt. Maria nos torça o conteúdo de Marina Meles está 1.100. Agora me deve dizer quem a conta não e como não a conta não. Nossa conta não, George Cultura também conta não. Nossa chega por 400. Não se a conta não. Agora o papel de 1.100 de labra, com uma cifra alta. Nós que mantemos por 400. Então, já tem um versículo bem grande.
Quem está pisa, você tem razão e não está.
Ok, mas sobre a minha papia com italiano, com a conta é burico, junto com Fernando, então me disse, como você chega na 1.100? Ela explica-me que não vai, por exemplo, 3 montanhas, caminha de burico, na conta quanto burico tem, então na multiplicar a quantidade de cada estado, terra anterior. É cifra não está correto.
Como a conta?
Nossa passa, eigenlijk conta na mês, tem vários. Então nós vamos que burico, não? Dora que nossa experiência também. Porque mira burico, por exemplo, se é de músculo aí, quando bisa que angguan apa senang verdade, da stress apa nem na mira assim, né? É burico.
Posso investigar?
Sim.
Michael é veterinário.
Também é veterinário. Nós toma conselho de Inglaterra. Caminho com um rapport.
Tem rapport?
Sim, nós temos rapport.
Em espanhol?
Seguro. You have to report. Rona has to report, no, about the donkeys that became.
Yes. There's definitely a report it's a disease that they get from stress and change of activities and stuff.
Stress and that.
We can get you a copy of that. We'll get you a copy of it.
Eu não tenho stress. Bolso, Marina Meles, of tráfico.
A mim para bisa, lá que nós contestamos pedi, burico, não pensa bisa burico tá mais sabico que bai, mais sabico que cachorro mesmo. Burico tá na forma de acto tá portata outra, bota querer com anda burico tá mais sabia mesmo. Se eu abrir buraco, é curar 2, 3 dia, é também abrir buraco sali para fora. Tem par de filmes no YouTube também, você mira como burico não anda, te reconhece gente back também depois, e tanto anos que não mira llora, burico tá sofre, ora boquita membro da família, Richard. Burico tá viva de família. E se falta algo de família, não tá busque. Então, é coisa que não tá publicar, Burico tá, Burico tá estima, outro Burico tem gevoel, mas como nós tem gevoel, mas nós temos que compreender, de nós termino, podemos compreender Burico, então podemos compreender que não tá, mas tem quer para a família.
Sim. Sim.
No, conteúdo nossa conteúdo é de grupo. Não, não, pero bota conhecer, não tu camina. Tem certo caminho, mas se camina Fontaine daí arriba não, bota mira nada gana arriba não, bota tem que passar dia camina goza cambia Chihuahua trail of que me bota já, vai cá, me quer vai cá, para vou contar. Pero de vai cá nossa cana vivíamos já pouco burico mas mira já. Des de na nossa põe bota calcular mais ou menos botar por um dia escada. Na nossa calcular que tem eigenlijk 350 põe que par de yuca nasce tem par que morre também você tem nasce tem que morrer dus essa quantidade castrar que tanto mama que tem agora aqui dus me te quer na queda de mesmo 350 para 400 exato bom tem conta lora obviamente você só de ainda tem uma maneira difícil para conta lora para calcular não dus lora tá
que me dê área de labra eu nem se você plan sim logo se bem mais ou menos 400
nós para calcular nós temos que caber essa calculação assim, mas nós queremos que 300 para 350 para vai de labra.
O problema é o comentário de dano quando está assim na natureza.
Ok. Você está pensando é dano que gente está assim na natureza, é hobby mais grande que a bestia. Agora a gente e bestia, você estava da bombom de balanço com a bestia. And by the way, nunca tem 3.000 ou 4.000 buricos na boneira. Mas nós tínhamos estatístico, não sei se vai mirele, sempre agora tomar quanto burico tem na boneira. Nós tínhamos estatístico for de 7.000 para arriba. De tur aia, quanto burico tem. Como maximum donkeys we had on boneira once was 1,400.
No, there was an average of about 1,000.
Thousands, yeah, I know.
Documentation of that
Yeah.
in one of the manuals. And so nature kind of controlled the population by itself. You know, it wasn't a real
Nós tínhamos documentar que antes que ele não estava conta quando o brinco da tinha boneiro, mas quando não estava conta cabai, cabrito, cabrito sim já tinha uma temporada, já tinha 20 para 30 mil, que sim estava assim. Pero agora, danho, sim. Agora combinar cabrito, tanto bac, botar aí também que não danho não de burico de forma que não aqui com o cabrito está come, com o porco está come, então não põe o burico de mesmo página aí né. O burico está come outro. Claro, não também tem que comer, mas o burico está come só com erva. Então a erva seca não está come blach. Então a blach seca agora não vai raiz que o burico vai mirar não come. Você tá não tá instinto de sobreviver, tá pensei na queda na vida que não, temporada de secura, não se queda na vida. Pero se a outra cai mané agora que verde não está fazendo muito dano que palo não. Mas a erva não está come. Mas se tu é temporada, se está temporada mas está tem 7 anos de secura porque tem vida tá por aí tu palo morre quase. Então tem hobby dano verdade, pero não está de burico. Então isso dano palo anda moridor que água não está cai. Então agora que já, de mesmo burico está mal número, pero se a água está cai normal tu costa de balança. Vai bonita, boneiro está agora aqui, verde.
Well, we've tried real hard to try and get our point across. We've had an island council meeting at the beginning. After the meeting, they asked us to give them a report of everything. We gave them an 89-page report in a few days. The next island council meeting we had a fellow there, Richard Stewart, who was from one of the dive magazines, who's been dealing with Bonaire for 40, 50 years. And he came to the meeting and told them, why would you want to get rid of something that's going to bring tourists the other islands don't have, especially when they're part of Bonaire. The last Island Council meeting, the Island Council kind of agreed. We gave them the plan that I spoke of, you know, and they said, okay, they gave it to the Executive Council, asked them to give it to the Planning Department, meet with the stakeholders, meet with us, and come up with a solution, okay? Frank Sloba, on his own, unilaterally sent a message back, never met with anyone, saying they're going to overpopulate, saying that they're inbred, all the propaganda that they got from the donkey sanctuary. All right? Now, the fact of the matter is, did he read our report, which just talks about population control? We feel right now that there's people that are biased, they have their opinion, they don't have the right expertise or the right information, and they're trying to downplay the situation. And the situation is such that for 7 years we have donkeys dying, we have a lot of propaganda, we have a lot of wasted time. There's a lot of money that we spent on our own. We brought wildlife people here, we brought professionals here. The governor got a half a dozen letters from Pegasus. They got a letter saying they would assist us in the population control. You know, from Dr. Davis, who's been dealing with the Boricos around the world, who the complaint is that they're being eliminated rapidly and something has to be done. So we can be put on the map by putting this program together. He told me personally that if we can put this plan in place, he can use it in different places around the world. So we can't understand what the problem is. Why won't the donkey sanctuary join us? They take care of sick and wounded. We take care of the ones in the wild. Why can't we get permission, like the people that handle the parrots and the turtles, to take care of our donkeys? You know, we are here to help the people, help the heritage, and take care of these animals. And all we need is assistance from the government to make this work. At one point, okay, there was supposed to be a plan put in place. I think the only officials, it was the Red and Green Coalition, all right, with Clark, Benito, and Silberry, that stop the catching of the donkeys until a proper impact study can be done. I don't know why these biologists and the advisors are afraid of an impact study, all right? When an all-island study was supposed to be done, which would help the island for years, by Princeton University, who was working in conjunction with a professor from Wageningen, if I pronounce that right, I don't know, all right, in Holland, all right? And that study would tell us how many donkeys there can be, where they can be, and it was simple, it should have been done, all right? When the government changed, the letter that was written to Princeton that said they should come here to do the study, and the money that was allocated, I don't know if it was Frank Maslova, I don't know who it was, but the letter disappeared and the people never allowed to come. You know, so there's some kind of a conspiracy that stops the only proper solution for our donkeys and our people in this island to make work.
Problem is, I think, the area of Labra is under management of Sinapa, so they have to collaborate. No?
No.
No.
No. Tercera. La obra tercera completamente. En la Caibo y Istinapa. No. Esta Caibo y Copiano, ¿por qué? Sí, Copiano.
When Arjen told me when he was the director of Stinapa, we met with him and he said, Al, you guys got a good idea. Stinapa is responsible for the ocean and they're responsible for the park. The other areas, if you've got a good solution, use it. All right? He was the only one. The director before him was a Dutch guy, and we went to meet him, myself, Raimondo Soleil, Dushka, you know, and Michael was there, and I explained to the guy the plan we had. This Dutch guy looked up at the ceiling and said, I have a vision. There'll be no more donkeys on Bonaire. So how the hell do you deal with people like this?
I'm imenso, because um statement é só porque a minha mira não através de anos de experiência que tem de imprensa ainda não já foi também precisa nós com nós pensar atender nos coisas foi que
A mí también.
Marina Meires Fernando Simal Fans Slober. Não nasce que não, não discrimina, não tem que ser que lugar que está no nosso lugar.
Correcto. A mí te doy un ejemplo más. Por ejemplo, en el gran año antes, está preciso con el agua no está corre, el agua by dam, el agua by, unfortunately, aquí no hay lugar para reservar, tengo la man, cuando agua está fácilmente lugar, está inundado. Wanneer den kaya grandi, of kaya Manuel Piar, or wanneer que magama na llega na pon un tubo snegi, den kaya grandi, sin sa quanto agua of quanto agua da wanta. Todo lugar, vita nangi tudo tá boiado. Já foi na vez. De quando eu consejo de bato. Bato na rincon a reclamar coisa mais grande, mas de grande, de la rádio, la televisão. De quando eu tomo su consejo. Bato na guitarra, não pode na minha escola que magama ding. Pero não conhece o lugar, não conhece com a água da cor.
Tá corda, tá de Leonardo Engelhardt. Vamos contar tem tá engenheiro, pero me também me recordo como estava a solucionar esse tipo de situação aí na Bonaire, pero um problema básico tá, Michael, manutenção e tratamento de dam e tanque. Se você tem tanque nesse comigo, burico tá água para beber, você aí casa se água eu bebo bom, como nem problema de água, you know.
We're here basically to contradict an article that was put in the extra, right? And I have some points I'd like to discuss. Number one, they talk about a police situation between Marina Mellis and myself. What happened was they were catching a donkey. I stopped, got out, I was taking a picture with my phone. Marina ran to me probably 40, 50 feet, knocked the camera out of my hand, said I shouldn't be there. So as far as the conflict is not on my side, okay? And we're dealing with a person that's not irrational. They talk about population, all right? I think Michael explained. George did a study, I did a study, and we come up with under 400 donkeys. The study that was done by a person that conflict of interest. The person that wants the donkey's gone. Now, why did that happen? I would guess that by 2030 they have to be gone. So they're going to have to get funding to get rid of them. If there's only 400, they're not going to get as much money as if there's 1,200. I don't know if that's a fact, but that's one of the only conclusions I can come to because they didn't count every donkey. They counted a few donkeys in one area and multiplied it by all of Bonaire. They say that's a viable way, but it didn't work with us because we counted the donkeys. George Couture went and counted donkeys. So it was two separate studies. The other one, they are Nubian ass donkeys. Now, somewhere along the line, I understand that Marina is saying, no, they're not Nubian ass. But we did a study, sent it to Texas A&M. It came back with a complete study of which I have copies if anybody wants to see it, of the Nubian donkeys with Bonaire. It was a complete match. Donkey Sanctuary sent samples to Holland to try and disprove our study. It came back exactly the same. I have copies of that too. Okay, so, but why are they fighting something that has to work so well? Location, they talked about Labra and how much money it's going to cost. Give me a break. It's a new park fence. We made the plan to put the wildlife rooster that is in place. You got Gatomir on one side, the ocean on two sides. It doesn't cost nothing to put donkeys there. And we're not going to put 1,200 donkeys in Labra. As our plan says, we'll put an amount of donkeys that's not harmful for the land. There's other places on the island where we'll put donkeys. And as long as there's water there, they'll stay there. All right? So that's not right. The cost that they say we're going to spend and the government has to spend, we're not looking for money from taxpayers. The taxpayers are not going to pay anything. All right? We're going to get the funding the same way I have people wanting to donate right now, you know. And if nothing else, there's wildlife groups and there's nature groups around the world that if we submit this plan and that's so viable, we can get funding from them. We just missed one from Holland that they had, you know. So the funding will come from us, personal money, which had already everything that was spent was our personal money. All right, so the cost to taxpayers is not there. So that's fallacy. What was put in that thing was completely wrong. All right. Again, they don't have any credentials. They may have credentials of taking care of an animal in the sanctuary, but when it comes to wildlife, George Couture, Bushy France, myself, and wildlife, herd management, land management people on our team, we have the credentials. All right?
You mentioned Bushy France, George Couture, But there are a lot of people here.
Yes,
I don't
yes,
hear.
yes.
Pero the
But
no.
from Marcelina, no. You had an interview with some of them on the documentary. Unfortunately, they're getting old and they didn't pass it on.
Quem assina?
Botating Marcelina, botating
Qual
es
Marcelina?
Marcelina que voy a entrevistar, voy a documentar. Botating es un camori luna pasada. Mayong. Mayong dami da sa hopi di bastante. Botating Bush France, botating senhora, botating um cachete assim, de Rincon. Na Rincon tem hopi na vida ainda, que por passeio over ainda, of nanta conta de história. Se muito nan de Rincon nanta hopi na altura e na Rincon nan que tem de mês para correr burico na peixe boneco. Na Rincon nan de serra, três montanhas nan que vem na subir a Piedra Cruz aí, serra e nan lagi passa todo burico na banana, nan se que nan. Assim na proponemos na Rincon, assim na visão, ani cueto de burico.
Pero bota papel nang.
Sí.
Nang.
No, hopi di nan, pero
Diferela.
nang non so per costume burico, no? Pero que veni.
Cosa para mí político.
Sí, no, ya, ante político pero no estaba buscando solución, entonces no se papi ko hopi di na Rincon dame, entonces andi no sí que nan. Si vos que nan na playa, 13 nan no se jalo vaya. Na três Piedra Cruz e nan, então passa nan pa van Rincon.
The problem is the agua, the water problem.
The water's not such a serious problem. First of all, we bought the truck from Webb, which we have already.
Sí,
Okay?
creo que agua.
So if there's areas where the wells are going to be dry for a period of time, we can transport water there. We're willing to do that. And we're not asking for money from anybody. We pay for the truck. All right? There are a lot of areas where there are good wells. And if we have to, we'll build it. We'll put in either a windmill
or a pump.
or we'll put in a solar panel to keep the water. So the water's not a problem, and that's a good point, because wherever the water is, the donkeys are gonna stay.
Yes.
These advisors make the government think that donkeys walk everywhere around the island and eating everything. That doesn't happen. You know better than I do that the donkeys have water here, they're gonna walk around,
Yeah.
make a circle, they're gonna eat some things, they're coming back to the water.
You
They're
can
not
see.
going all over the
When-
island,
when-
they're
yeah.
territorial. They'll stay.
You can see when
And-
it rains, all the donkeys disappear for a while.
The important
when-
point is this contract that was written to remove the females is a joke, all right? They were told that if they take the females, the males won't smell them anymore and they won't fight, they won't be running across the roads. Now, everybody I tell that to, they laugh, you know? So what happens now, in the past, you and everybody on the island knows that there was families, a male, 2 or 3 females, a few babies, and they would drink water. They would walk around, eat a little bit, eat a little bit, eat a little bit. By the time they got back, some of that stuff was growing already, all right? So it wasn't as harmful to the land. Now that they've taken the females, we have herds, and I'm sure you've seen them as well, of males. By LVV, there was 40 or 50, you know? Now with herds of males, they're walking around doing damage. So the contract is ridiculous. The government needs to know that what they're hearing from these people are not correct. They need to get the proper information. You know, we have misinformation being given. They talk about the accidents. It's not the donkey's fault most of the times. It's the people driving, and they're not driving properly. All right? Reef damage. These guys are claiming the donkeys are walking on the land, it's walking into the sea, and it's killing the reefs. We had donkeys
we
here
have a-
500 years.
we-
If it's 500 years, if we still have reefs, some of the better ones, how can you blame the donkeys?
Wait.
Right?
We have a
Vegetate.
report from a scientist from United States that contradict exactly what they're saying. We have the report. We can show you the report. That the donkeys, the pee, is actually good for the corals. And that's why Bonaire has very nice corals, because of the donkeys, so they should be glad they were donkeys.
I read that as well. The other thing they talk about, they're eating all the vegetation, all right? Sanapa told me, actually Fernando, when he was with Sanapa, said, I went to see him when he said the donkeys had to be gone. He started this whole situation, all right? He told me that.
Fernando ganha nada, agora pagar para se coisa aqui.
Conflict of interest. He started to eliminate the donkeys, and now he has to make a report. Of course, he's not going to make a report in our favor. It's going to go against the donkeys.
So he told me that in 10 years there'll be nothing left in Bonaire. This is about 20 years ago. The island has never been so green. All right?
É por isso que nós não bisa da jacket ainda. Tá para? Nabi, tu rende na.
Matama na jacket.
Yes, tu rende na conta conta. É coisa bem interessante, não? Que men ora bo argumentar assim, vai cabrito da jacket. É borico da jacket, pero ele não co abingo estúdio para saca na jacket, não tampouco.
Tampouco da jacket.
You understand that?
Yeah, that's true.
Al tampouco da jacket.
I had the guy from World Wildlife. The guy from World Wildlife saying, no, in 1950 the donkeys were released and they overpopulated. Well, it's not true. They were brought here, as you know, in 1527. They were left in the wild as a breeding stock, and they took just the ones they needed for beasts of burden to use, you know? So that's completely out of whack, all right? So the overpopulation that they talk about, it's not true. Yeah. There's less than 400 that we find, yes. Okay? And the population can be controlled in a positive way, in a humane way, like I say, by injecting the females, and we have groups that are willing to come. Now, removing the females is a joke. So the government needs to know these points, because I'm sure if they get misinformation. I can't blame the government, because their advisors are giving them information and they get information from them. They need to get the proper information. And if they did, this problem would be solved 7 years ago. You know, it's really, it's crazy, you know. The information that I got from Fernando years ago said it's all in appendix number so-and-so. When we went to the appendix, it was empty. There was nothing in it. They said we have to go to Kumabi. We went to Kumabi, and Kumabi said, we have no information on donkeys. The first Island Council meeting, Frank Solba says, no, overpopulation and whatever, and we have studies. So we asked him for his studies after the meeting, and he said, oh, you got me wrong. We have no studies on donkeys, you know. And we have documentation on everything I'm telling you. So nothing that I'm saying is fabricated like some of the things I read in this article, you know.
The bono com o papel com Alvin Bruman, copia printura com nossa track tem section.
Ok.
Para rende publicar.
Para dentro futuro, se acaso não tem burico mais, não vou mirar que tá tem documentação, mas agora vou perder não, eu vou testar no valor.
Me casa comprometer me mesmo me para série de Corão. Tá 50, 60. So sort of a tour airport. I will
talk to you about it. All the documents that we have and all the reports that we have, we can pass it on to them.
E parte você o piche de burico tá bom para curar. É coisa que tu nunca me entende sei.
Maury got the report.
You know, one of the points that they use, and they use it all the time, they're invasive. They were brought here, but that was 500 years ago. Right now, our donkeys are what they call in the industry a keystone species. And a keystone species mean that they are part of the environment. Birds live off their poop. They dig holes some places, you know, where water lays and sinks into the Mundi. My question is, why, if it's not a conspiracy to get them removed, is every report that I read only has negative things about our donkeys? Why aren't these biologists talking about how they reseed? Why aren't the biologists talking about how they make paths through the bush that allows plants to grow?
Keep them only open.
The people behind the conspiration, who are those guys? And why the conspiration?
They're biologists that were brought here, not local people, not local persons, that are reading stuff from other islands and past history, and they're not doing what's being done today. You know, today there's like a Holocaust situation that we use. You know, that may not be the proper word, but we need a balanced biology approach, which means that We get nature, we get the animals, we get the vegetation, and we find a way they can all live together properly. And we have that solution.
And the quantity, of course.
We just need them to not be so callous and change their mind. Now, why won't they change their mind? Maybe because they don't want to look bad. Maybe because they really firmly believe in these things and don't want to. I have no idea why.
I know why.
But we have the solution for Bonaire. The donkey sanctuary hasn't got a solution. All they're doing is hoarding donkeys, costing a lot of money. You want to talk about money being spent, you know. So my question is why? Why can't we get permission to do what's good for Bonaire, like the parrot people and like the turtle people? And why won't the donkey sanctuary join forces with us to do what's right from Bonaire? They complain about donkeys getting hit on the road. We have a solution to remove that. Why won't they stand behind us?
Agresivo. Agora, amigo, alabay na umbiya ko doktor de bese na bus mo de bringa kumi. Ato da sinetado, pompa e televidente sa ku ami al compare ni masa bay ay nang pabay busca muestra de currículo.
Currículo, correcto.
Ta bomba televidente sa ko nang agredi nos. Se mino proteger mi mes e esposo de senhora Marina Melas lo adalmi.
Imaginava.
Nossa, vai tu
Que malo vai.
tu uma mulher se bem do na que ou nem nada, pero alta tem confrontação hope com. You had a confrontation with Marina with the camera, and you went to the police.
I went to the police because what happened, she took my, she knocked the camera out of my hand. I picked it up, went to take another picture. She took the camera like this, pulled it out of my hand. I think she hit herself in the face with it, I'm not sure. And she walked away with my camera. So I found the camera on the fender of the trailer, and I went to the police to complain that I was abused, you know. Then I understand she went and said that I beat her up or something, which was... Naturally, she was contradicting.
The case is closed.
Well, the police, I wanted to press the issue, but then I was told that, Al, you don't know which way it's going to go in court. You know, they had witnesses, you were alone, you know. So the police said that what they're going to do is they're going to leave it alone. She has to stay away from me. I have to stay away from her. And that was the issue, was ended. But why can't I stop and take a picture on the road? Who's to tell me that?
On a public road.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
You know, and what happened, they were bringing a burrico out of the bush. It had a broken leg. So they had their right to do, and they were doing the right thing. So I went to take a picture. She come running to me and knocked the camera out of my hand. I understand that was done also to some other people over by Lac Bay one time.
And they were catching the wild donkeys. That's what happened. There was on Facebook for a long time through an American guy, you know, and the way they catch the donkeys, they were lassoing. They throw the lasso to the neck, which is a strong part. They catch them on the feet. They can hurt the donkey, you know. So the guy stood there and filmed them, and they knocked the shit out. Sorry, they knocked the shit out of the guy, you know.
Knocked the camera out of his hand. Then his wife was taking pictures. So she went and knocked the camera out of her hand and hit her in the face. You know, at the time, they went to the police, and the police have a report. You know, on this.
Nothing happened.
Well, nothing happened. They didn't want to make an issue and make a problem, so they left it alone just with the report. And these people were oddly enough, they were horse trainers. You know, so they were equine people. They know the animals.
Sì, no, no.
Mita bisa mita tem experiência com não.
E
agressividade,
conflito.
E violência que tá sali foi não. Pus como ele brinca com que mendi. Mita inanda sa kaputret. De como pode que não ensina problema para sa kaputret of pa.
Mi sabe boy, mi alta tem problema com né. Mi nunca tem problema com Marina, nem com sua casa, hasta mi ta cominde, ta comindami. Farid, kuta completamente gunang, eens gunang, sa tipi kinabenden supay come, pero este completamente gunang, nossa conversar, as a matter of fact, ayer nossa conversar dos dia, nunca minta ting coisa, ora minta papi com Farid, nossa papia over de purico, nossa papia over de turismo, over de pauta, pero conflicto con otro, no se queda amigo fe chiquito, te habla, y no se, si un no se toca tema de burico, também não está de acordo com o outro.
Mas tem mais terreno que você tem na vista que não pode criar?
Sim. Nós plan, la gami pone plan completo para compreender.
Então, labra-se?
Não, da labra-se. Tem diferente gente, la gami explica para não explica isso aqui. Durante que o marina começar, que é burico que se não para completar, para é fundo, não? Para tem suficiente burico para é fundo. Estava vai, tá tem roupa ainda estava cuida burico, cria burico na casa, como maneira criar cachorro. E estava tá chega com burico.
Esse é habituado, esse é muito problema com ele. Pessoalmente também, tem uma parte para nenhum ele. Mas a mim que tem burico, dois buricos na minha casa, como que parque que a mim lá muito não. A mim tá perguntando mas quem marina mel está?
Sim.
Para bem riba, meu lugar.
Correto.
Tem
território.
Tem território. Bem bisa coisa aí não tá. É tá assim, tá doido não.
Ela soube daño na boneiro, para por aí chegar caminho que está aí. Você a mim tá visto tá. Ela chega o bilhão.
Lá se bom coisa também.
Sim, não mal só. Tá papiando daño não que lá haciendo agora aqui. Não, bom ela se seguro, completamente de desacordo com ele. Vamos, né? Sim, me desacordo com a forma como ela chega no burico no começamento, chega, está cuidando do burico, cria burico na casa, chega com o burico, vai com ele, bisa não burico não está bom cuidar, que é por aí, vai por começar.
Está arranha, roupa bem também, funcionário na policial holandês europeu atrás, Ministério Público.
Correto, sim,
por exemplo. É quando a mim está assim me dolor.
A mim não está
a mim não me é bisa coisa aqui,
não, a mim está bisa no cara mesmo. Você vai colocar lá assim. Também esse aqui também é uma parede, estava com o potreac, mas por exemplo, com a matéria tem que junto com ala pediu mais que vou para de me bana, me saco você está tem cabai com burico chiquito, você está com o burico de mondi, que sei não, é verdade, você tem coche mais grande, mas com burico, está bom cuidado, mas você está dentro de salir martinga, e vai nada, mas você está atacando como é, etc. Agora, mas pus potreac, amigo Alvin Minuang, junto com Johnny Engelhardt, com Lourenço Romamé, caminho com Johnny que tem burico, é burico bastante grande, ele está ainda assim, então nós está muito chiquito, então nós sube burico. Depois saca para trás, é medo assim, mas assim não está antes, não está assim conheci com burico, foi chiquito, então é para trás aqui, então ele disse, o abuso aqui, que é na mata aqui, me digo neta que me chivo com me potrata mandete taxas mandar ao mundo, vai para porque te potrata o que senão me já demandava. Ela que te, ela pediu me dispensa, que passei que chega nós conversamos, me disse não, me não, já para que mami gava, porque me passando um coisa histórico de nossa família, porque nossa lanta com cabalho com burico, ou algo também de para qual menenge. Essa tá forma com, para que como eu mencionei aí, porque ela dá nome de nós bonderianos, visando que nós estamos maltratando os pestes.
Então, é cabay nang kuta kanaronda kinang turista ta kole di banang. Manda maltratar burico aí, pero manda maltratar cabay. Sabe como é que é?
Sim. Não, burico estava estimado, burico estava besta, não está cria burico, mas cuida burico, mas quando cuida burico.
Digamos essa nada reaccionar se ende já não que peso como tem, pero com peso normal. Não, mas nem marido tampouco nem.
Aí não, burico estava anda
peso. Justin.
Tá atrás, não
está. Mas vai correr sali, então isso que é burico está beira seu meio de transporte, está sali sua casa, pintar, marei bona, basta que lá que pupa que bolse, então tem que isso com a reaction. When you say é test case, então nós a seguir, então a como não reaction. Você quer? You understand that?
Yeah, make it test.
Well, one thing is we don't want a problem with Marina. We don't want a problem with Donkey Sanctuary. We don't want a problem with Stanapa. What we want to do is work together with everyone to do what's good for Bonaire. All right? And it's really simple. You know, when Marina first came here, myself and Ellie Albers, when she had the animal shelter, we used to take care of donkeys. I took care of donkeys and treated them long before Marina got here. When she came, I went and said, listen, I said, we're glad to have you here. We really need a shelter. We need a place for the donkeys that are sick and wounded and stuff. I said, so we really welcome you. I said, before I left, I said, do me a favor. I said, leave my number with the police. So if you're not on the island or whatever, you know, I can come and I can help. Her answer was, I'm sorry, we don't need your help. And I stood there and looked at her. I said, what? She says, no, we can take care of it. So that was my first experience that I said, well, okay, fine, let her do the job, you know. But then the first call I got was from the landfill and said, listen, they're bringing dead donkeys here in the trailer. So I went to the vet, and I said to the vet, I said, what's going on? He said, well, they were either old or aggressive. I said, whoa. I said, wait a minute. I said, the old donkeys need to live their life out normal, you know, not be put to sleep. And aggressive, you need to show me an aggressive donkey unless he's fighting for his pecking order, you know. And then I remember I called you. And I said, boy, I need to go to the sanctuary to find out what's happening with these donkeys being killed. And you called me back and said, we couldn't come, but you called her, everything will be okay, you don't have a problem. But because of her personality, I was worried about being abused or whatever, you know. So I went, and they told me that, no, that's not true, because Farik, who was working with them, she fired, and he put that in the newspaper. All right? Now, he had a change of heart since then, so I don't know what happened, what benefit he's got, you know. But meanwhile, at that point, I said to myself, the landfill's telling me the dead donkey's coming. She's telling me it's not true. So I really started to worry. I don't want a problem, you know. What we want to do is take care of the donkeys. I sent her a letter. We did as a foundation, saying we're a legal foundation, nature foundation. You care about donkeys, so do we. Let's get together and fix this, all right? I sent it signed receipt, so if anybody wants to see it, I have a copy of it, you know. No help. She tells people she would never work with me. The Island Council at a meeting asked her to work with us. The governor asked her to work with us. People tell me they were outside the building and they can hear her tell the Island Council, no way in hell I'll ever work with this guy. So all we want to do is take care of the donkeys. I don't want to fight with Marina. I don't want to deal with Stanapa with their misinformation. I want the donkeys taken care of, and the government needs to understand that we have the solution, and we need their help.
Sí, mi no acaba de contestar ahora ya.
Ora está llegando,
Sí,
pero tal vez.
sí. Mi no acaba de contestar ahora ya. Cuba va a hacerme una pregunta, entonces a conversação vai aí, pero contesta. Mi estaba de tinele, la sal e pimenta. Pergunta-me. Você desvia vai.
A mim conheci Marina Meles, mas ela conheci com ela na Holanda. Na Artes, na Amsterdam, tem a abertura de parque de Flamingo, então Bonaire adoptar o parque e ela conta. Precisamos apoiar Marina Meles com conhecimento. Pero pouco a pouco, mira que sua atitude cambia, também hasta arrogante, agressivo, anto tamita sinti.
Vamos chamar que me, a mim não mais que pide me, alce mais que me.
Aqui não também, ora que ela começou a actividade sostener totalmente. Pero pouco a pouco mira que sua atitude cambia. Ultimamente nós encargo para trás documental de Burico. Então nós busca contato com ele para dar oportunidade para dar sua opinião. Então ninguém categoricamente que me diz a mí está así, lo que me puedo hacer para dar una oportunidad, pero sí, no.
¿Qué hace? Yo opino neutral.
En el conta a mi programa, anda mira a mí, me puedo pisar dentro a mí.
Sí, seguro.
Entonces, es bien que dan, lo me pueden pisar.
Lo que nos avisamos, tú lo que nos avisamos, nos preparas atrás. Nos tiene documento, no pasa que nos Rauna tiene un staples de documento, Kuta conta de si tur lo que tur el rapport nan con al gobierno hay una opinión que hace una interesa nan.
Busca na para nos pueden aquí.
Nós se vai começar a publicar nan para sobre aí é um momento para nós começar para ele lançar é verdade traz coisa aqui. Então lá que nós saca não comissão. A mim também comissão saca.
A mim saca. Ele papel pibiar anda pincho fome, me tu sabe. Tá não satur cost, tá não tem experto. Nós aqui nada para nós para nem pouco ainda cansa.
Correto.
Então que tem me molestia.
Correto, sim.
Só que o programa vai de outra direção. Pero que tu na minha opinião também tem programa.
Que importa contra para escapar um rico que tá sei que tem no mundo, nós temos na Bonaire, tu mina de ouro. Então, nós temos solução para escapar, sem molestar a caia, sem molestar vários sushi, por pouco vou estar reclamando nada de lá, sem molestar isso aí, então vou botar conta de até aqui que está bombando.
Bom, nós chegamos no fim do programa, net 50 minutos, com algo mais, danke para o programa, espero que um dia entrevistar Alda Papimento.
Ali 50 anos maneiro, tu ainda para inglês com exemplo.
We need to thank you for letting us explain the fallacies that were brought against us, you know, about the overexpense and the money, and I can't understand why it has to be this way.
Danke por o programa. E no final, televidente, é um programa que tem que possar reclamar del dame de nota objetivo, pero mi também tem minha opinião. E mi também conhecer a problemática de Burico. Mas passa dentro de coisas, ela conta com nossa passa de uma experiência. Então, minha conclusão tá, mi ponto tá. Um argumento não que usa cada vez tanto para o que trata é Burico como é cabrito tá. Na nota já que a 13 na espanhola, a 13 na 5 aí passar, é verdade. Pero ele não também se costa aqui. Também que estuda não para eliminar Burico e cabrito, não tá já aqui, não, a maioria não. Não também, a bem que não também, por isso que depois de tempo vira parte da nossa população, parte da nossa cultura. Então, as coisas que é Burico e é cabrito.
Cinco.
Estava tudo em programa.